Since the Pope is coming to the Philippines, they are taking a lot of different precautions. Some of them are silly and goofy, and some of them are very, very serious, including this one. Daily Mail reporting about how the street children are being rounded up by authorities. So they explain, street children as young as 5 are being caged in brutal detention centers alongside adult criminals in a cynical drive to smarten up the Philippines capital ahead of a visit by Pope Francis this week. Okay, by smarten up, of course, they're using British lingo there, meaning like they're going to make it look better by taking away the kids that are normally homeless in the streets. By the way, it's an incredibly sad story when you look into it, not just because they're arresting the kids, but the fact that they exist. One of the kids, whose name is Ben, was abandoned by his parents, left in the streets when he was 6. And then he got put into one of these centers, and then he was sexually assaulted, he says, 10 times in a span of 3 months, and then got out when he was 7. Who leaves their kids behind? I know it's a totally different situation, but oh God, it's heartbreaking. Okay, so now the latest developments. Hundreds of boys and girls have been rounded up from doorways and roadsides by police and officials and put behind bars in recent weeks to make the poverty-racked city more presentable when Pope Francis arrives tomorrow, a MailOnline investigation has found. Now, look, of course, this is enormously ironic. We'll talk about how ironic it is in a second, but I don't think this is what Jesus Christ would do. Okay, hey, I'm coming to town. Make sure you take the poor, the needy, in fact, probably the neediest people in the whole city, and take them away and put them and lock them up somewhere so I don't see them. Pretty sure that's not what Jesus would do. They go on to explain, in a blatant abuse of the country's own child protection laws, the terrified children are locked up in filthy detention centers where they sleep on concrete floors and where many of them are beaten or abused by older inmates and adult prisoners, and in some cases starved and chained to pillars. Now, one of the kids on an earlier roundup that was rounded up was an 11-year-old, and they found pictures of him starving to death, and then there was an outrage in the city. That's not him, but Francisco was his name. Ironic again because it's Pope Francis that's coming to town. Now, this just picture you just saw there is from the latest roundup. So they tie him up to poles. This is the most unchristian thing I've ever seen. If you believe on the good side of Christianity, there they are, literally in cages, and more in prisons. It's heartbreaking to see that there are so many to begin with, but the fact that they're being shuttered away to make sure that they don't bother the Pope is ridiculous. In fact, the Pope is famous for, as they explain here in the Daily Mail, Pope Francis famously washed the feet of inmates at a youth detention center in Rome in 2013. Look, this Pope is an amazing guy. Of course, we don't agree with a lot of what the Pope says. I'm agnostic, so I don't believe in the core of his teachings, the dogma that he espouses, and politically, there are many things I disagree with him on. But he has been a totally different kind of Pope, and he has been much more open-minded and caring. So you never know. I mean, he's going to be there for a while. Maybe Pope Francis hears the story and actually goes to one of these centers. Now, it's not in his schedule, and to change his schedule would be unbelievable. It would take so much effort to do that. So don't get too excited. That's just me talking. But to do that to these kids while Pope Francis is coming to town, it's not like any regular Pope even. This guy actually cares. So, height of irony. Now, if you're wondering, God, this sounds so tragic. Is it really happening? Well, here's some officials that are confirming it. Rosalinda Orobia says, and she's the head of the Social Welfare Department in Manila's Central Pasay District. She claimed that the roundups had been conducted to protect the Pope from being targeted by gangs of begging street children. Now, of course, it's not a real threat to him and to his safety. They're trying to protect him from poor children. When he's trying to tell you, as he did in 2013 when he went to that center to wash their feet, that he doesn't need to be protected from the needy. He's there to protect them. You missed this whole point. She told the Manila Standard newspaper that syndicates know the Pope cares about poor kids and that they will take advantage of that. But he wants them to take advantage of that. The point is to be Christian and to help them. Now, so their idea is, well, now we're not like the Pope, and the poor cannot take advantage of us by having us be kind to them. We will lock them up and where they belong. And by the way, you want to talk about people who are innocent. These are kids as young as 5, 6, 7 years old. Now, I'm not saying that there, aren't situations where those kids grow up in an unbelievable environment in the streets and, when they talk about roving gangs, I don't know what they refer to, but I'm not saying that crime doesn't happen with kids who are left in the street at some point, but they're not going to pick the Pope's pocket. That's not what this is about. And these are the people that he would most want to serve. So I think that they're really excited about the Pope's visit, but they're showing it in all the wrong ways.